Yeah, once again, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
So this is the course content for the Azure Data Engineer. Okay, so we'll discuss about initially about Azure Basics, Azure SQL Database, Azure Storage, and we discuss about the Cosmos DB, which is a NoSQL database, and we'll talk about a little bit about ARN templates and Azure Data Factory, Data Lake, Data Bricks, Azure Stream Analytics, and we'll also cover other areas like Azure Storage, right? So all these things we will cover in this course. So this will be around 30 to 35 hours duration in the weekend batch only, Saturday 2 hours and Sunday 2 hours.
Okay.
And so first to begin the session, I want to know how many of you are aware of the cloud computing? Whatever the answer that you know that you can tell. What
I
do you
don't
know
have
about the cloud or cloud computing?
I don't have any experience, sir,
Don't
in
have
cloud
any.
computing.
Fine, that is fine. It's not a matter of experience, just word. What do you mean by the cloud computing or
Uh,
cloud?
I am aware of the about the storage of data in cloud, like
Data in cloud, okay.
yes, yes,
Storage in
like
cloud and including virtual servers, okay.
yes.
Storage and creating virtual servers on cloud for
Okay,
executions.
okay. Still any answers?
Accessing remote desktop and application or any system through web page or any cloud software.
No, I'm asking about the cloud and cloud computing. You heard about this word, what usually you think that will come in your mind? Yes, simple. What is cloud? What is cloud computing?
Actually, we used to host the whole infrastructure in the premises. But
Okay.
whereas cloud, this whole infrastructure and the cost is going to be cutting out so that we can use everything on the servers itself.
Okay. Okay. That's correct. So still any other answers? Anyone wants to give? No? Okay. So basically, what do you mean by cloud and how many types of clouds are there? Cloud types are there. So all those things that we're going to see now. So what is cloud computing? So initially we are having on the on premises. So some people will call it as on prem, right? ONPREM, on prem, on premises. So on prem means which is there on the company's servers. Like let's say if there is any company, if that company is buying any servers, so network, server, infrastructure. So all these things will come under the on premises. So every organization will buy the server. So all this environment is called as on premise environment.
Okay.
So what then later on in 2006, this AWS introduced the cloud concept. So it was not there before. So before 2006, all the companies, everybody is using the on-premises world only. We are on the on-premises world. From 2006 onwards, AWS introduced the cloud. So now all the other companies also slowly started and already working on the cloud computing platforms.
Okay.
Okay. So what is cloud computing? So cloud computing, you can read it over here, right? It can be a servers, storage, databases, networking. So all this, which is working over the internet, right? So all this comes under the cloud. Company offering these cloud computing services called as cloud providers, right? So they are typically charged for the cloud computing services based on the usage. So this is about the cloud computing. So example, you can think about this water bill, right? So earlier we used to pay on a oh, let's say if there are 30 flats, right? For all of them, we'll get to know the single bill. But right now, what is happening is like every home can have their own water meter. So whatever you use, you only pay for that, right? So that way you can optimize your usage of water in your flat. So this is one example that we can say, and even electricity also. So whatever you use, you only pay for that. So that is also one of the benefits. So what is happening here is you are reducing your cost. The one best benefit of the moving to the cloud is cost reduction for the customers, because companies used to spend huge cost for the servers purchase, networking, infrastructure, and for that maintaining the resources, means employees, right? So for all of these things, company has to incur the cost in order to use their work. Like if any IT project is running, so they need to do all of this stuff. So later on, this when cloud came in, all the companies, all the major customers, everybody is moving towards cloud, and cloud has become a full demand. The reason behind is the cost reduction, and usage of resources is reduced, and the best way of maintaining the infrastructures, like if they want to upgrade, they can do it by cloud provider itself. So resource utilization is reduced, cost is reduced, performance increased, no downtime. So all of these benefits are coming with the cloud. So that's the reason all the companies are moving towards the cloud. So in the market, there are multiple cloud players. You can see AWS, you can see Azure, you can see Google, you can see Oracle, you can see Bluemix, Oracle, IBM, Bluemix. So all these are the different cloud providers which are there in the market. So why we are discussing about the cloud? Because the session is about the Azure data engineering, but why we are discussing about the cloud? So the reason is, if you want to become a successful data engineer, Azure data engineer, first of all, you need to know about the cloud. So what is cloud? What is cloud computing? And what are the different storages that are available in the market, and where the actual work will start. So what is on-prem? What is Azure storage? What is Azure SQL? So what are the different types of storages? So all these things will come while you are working. So that's the reason we are discussing about the cloud. So till now, anyone has any questions?
Nothing, sir.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, please use the chat window. Okay. So that I will answer that after the completion of the topic. Okay. So this is our evolution, right? So on premises, and then we in the cloud we have three different things like IaaS, PaaS, and serverless. So IaaS means infrastructure as a service. PaaS means platform as a service, and other one is a serverless. So there are around 200 plus services that are available in the each cloud. I mean, in the AWS or in Azure or in GCP, there are 200 plus services that are available. So we have to use those services in the any of the cloud when we are working with the cloud technologies, whether it can be a IaaS or it can be a PaaS or it can be a serverless. So what are the benefits of cloud computing? So one is the cost, and second one is the speed, and third one is the scaling, and the last one is the reliability. So you can read this out. I will share you all the content after the completion of the session. You can go through it and you can understand clearly. So this picture will explain you clearly. So this is your on-premises on the left-hand side, and after that we have infrastructure. So then platform, then software. So infrastructure as a service, the second one, like platform as a service, PaaS. So there is a third one, and last one is a serverless. right? Software as a service. So these are the different platforms routing we have, like in the on premises, like everything we need to manage, right? As I mentioned, like we need to have the servers, networking, data, and operating systems, virtualization, installation, everything we need to manage by ourselves. So that is before 2006, right? So after that, when Amazon first introduced the cloud, that is called AWS. So they are the market leader that time. Later on, it was occupied by the Azure. So there is always a tough competition between the cloud providers, Amazon and the Azure. Sorry, AWS and the Azure. There is always a strict competition between both of cloud providers. So if you see about the infrastructure as a service, so you can see in the on the image, some of them are maintained by us and some of them are maintained by the cloud provider, right? You manage what you manage in the infrastructure as a service: applications, data, runtime, middleware, and operating system. So all these things you have to manage. That is in the infrastructure as a service model. And next comes a platform as a service. So in that, applications and data, only that we need to manage. Remaining thing, everything cloud provider will manage. And software as a service means all the things will be maintained by the cloud provider only. You can, let's say Gmail. If you see Gmail, that is a software as a service, right? Gmail.com. So you just create the user ID and password. You will create an account. That's it. And Google Drive, right? These are all the examples of the software as a service. So you will understand slowly what is the infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service in the coming sessions. So whatever the path that you choose, like you either you choose on-prem or you choose IaaS or you use PaaS or you use SaaS. For all of them, we have the pros and cons, means advantages and disadvantages. So we'll talk about the first one in IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So what are the pros, what are the cons? So you can read it. So installation of any custom software is possible, right? You can think this one as a virtual machine, right? When you create a virtual machine in your operating system, so you have your operating system installed on your laptop or a desktop, and you want to create a virtual machine. So what you will do, you will use one tool, right? You will use one tool and you create a virtual machine. So that one you can treat it as an infrastructure as a service. So operating a virtual machine is nothing but you can log in with the IP and with the credentials. You can log in and you can install the required softwares, whatever you want. That is exactly a same like a on-prem. So you can see the pros now. So any software you can install and you can have this global assembly cache. So this GAC means for the .NET developers, they will understand this. What is GAC? It's a global assembly cache. When we work with the .NET technology, usually when we build any projects, the libraries will be installed in the GAC. So that is a location. Say a location in the C drive. Okay, our libraries will be installed in the GAC, right? So that is about that. So we can connect to using the remote desktop, and you can view all the configurations. What are all installed, and what you want to install operating system, or you want to install any software. So all this you can do. So that is nothing but you can have a complete control on the server if you are working with the infrastructure as a service model, right? But what are the cons? Cons comes like deployment of the code is not that easy. Okay, I'm not saying we can't do it. We can do, but that is not easy. And integration of DevOps is complex. So I hope everybody is aware of the DevOps. So it's the development and operations. If you want to perform any automations for your existing applications, then we prefer the DevOps tools. And we have load balancing. We have load balancing, we have mapping, we have setting up environment. So all these things will come as the pros and the cons if you are choosing the infrastructure as a service model. Then we'll see about the platform as a service. So you can see what are the pros and cons for the PaaS, right? So deployment of code is easy, and integration of DevOps is easy, and scaling is automated, like straightforward, and mapping of the DNS is to the website is simple. So setting up the environment can be done easily. Okay. So cons. So here you don't have complete control of the server because it's not a virtual machine. So whatever you are doing on the cloud. So all the servers, all the whatever you are creating, those are getting created in the Microsoft data center. There are 46 regions across the world as of now for the data centers. For every region, they have created some like South India, like West India, East India, or East US. So that way they have categorized and they have created the data centers, and all these data centers belongs to Azure. So just a minute. So that is about the data centers. I will explain you what are those in the coming slides. So this is about the platform as a service, right? So you can't have complete control on the servers. So you need to utilize whatever is given by the cloud provider. So this is the platform as a service. As I mentioned, there are 200 plus services in the each cloud provider, either it is a Azure or AWS. So in that, some services.
లక్ష్మీకాంత్ గారు
Yes, Ravi.
మా బ్రదర్ కనెక్ట్ అవుతుంటే అవ్వట్లేదు అంటండి యాక్సెప్ట్ అండి
Please share the latest link.
ఆల్రెడీ చేశానండి మీరు యాక్సెప్ట్ చేయలేదని చెప్తున్నారు వాళ్ళు
No, I already accepted here. I don't see anybody waiting here.
Connected.
ఓకేనండి
Okay, fine. Sorry. So out of those 200 services, some services are useful for the infrastructure side. Some services are useful for the PaaS, right? Other services are used for the data. Other services are used for the database. Some of they're used for the networking, like that. So for each in each cloud provider, it is how the categorization of the services has been done. So now we will see what are the types of clouds that are available in each cloud provider, right? So we have types of deployment models for in each cloud, which we will be using in our real-time environment. So there are three types of cloud deployments available in each cloud provider. So one is the public, second one is private, third one is the hybrid, right? So what are those and when we have to use that? So that is very important. So when we talk about the any cloud provider, so that is the public. So whether you talk about the AWS or Azure or GCP or Bluemix or Oracle, any of the cloud provider, what we are talking about, that all comes under the public. And when we talk about the private, so some secure applications like banking or finance, right? So they don't want to give the customer data to the outside world. So they want explicitly some mechanism so that their data, secure data, will be saved in a better way. Because in the on-prem, all the servers are purchased by the respective bank. Let's say HDFC Bank. So those people will buy the servers, and that servers will be available in the HDFC premises only. But when we talk about the public cloud, it is public. So HDFC people might think that there is no security for the data. So that's why they don't want to use the public cloud. So that is one type of scenario, right? So it's a practical scenario. Similarly, other banks or other insurance agencies or wherever the data is secure, so those people, they don't want to give their data, or they don't want to install, or they don't want to put that data in the cloud. So for that reason, we have a private cloud. So what is private cloud? So that will be particularly private, means whatever is happening, whatever the existing mechanism is there on prem, in a similar way, this private cloud can be established for those types of customers. So for that reason, we have the private cloud, means it is highly secure. And obviously the cost will be more when compared to the public cloud, right? Because these people has to put some extra firewalls or some blockings for the private cloud. So that's the reason the cost of the private cloud will be more. And next we have the hybrid cloud, and there will be some scenarios for some customers. So they want to put some data in a private and some data in a public. So the combination. So that type of customers we prefer, we help them to establish, to configure hybrid cloud environment for their deployments. So till now, anyone has any questions?
Nothing.
Public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, cloud and IaaS, PaaS, differences. So no questions means you can go to the next slide. So these are the different cloud providers. So popular. So we have many, right? But I kept only the popular. So we have GCP, we have Bluemix, we have AWS, we have Azure. So we'll see the core concepts. So as I mentioned, like data center, right? So what is a data center and what it does? So Microsoft Azure is nothing but a set of data centers located across the globe, around the globe. So when you create a resource means in the Azure portal, we will create a resource that I will show you. Okay, portal.azure.com, that is a URL of the website. So once we log in with that, then it will ask, we have to create a resource. So whatever we do in the cloud, so those are called as the resources, right? I will show you how to do that in the practical, when we are doing the practicals. So when you create a resource such as a web app, so web app is one of the service and a SQL database. So that is also one of the service, and a virtual machine, right? This is also one of the service. So as I mentioned, there are 200 plus services. So these three services here only we are seeing. One is web app, one is SQL database, and there is a virtual machine. So when you create a resource such as the web app, a SQL database, or a virtual machine, you are using the physical infrastructure hosted in a physical data center. So these data centers aren't accessible to end users directly. Instead, Azure organizes them into regions. So whenever you create any resource in the cloud, right? Portal.azure.com is a URL. If I am sitting at my home and I am creating a
Sir, what is virtual machine?
Virtual machine is one of the server.
Okay.
It's not a physical server, it's a virtual server. So we'll create a virtual machine in the session, and then you will understand.
Okay.
So if I am sitting at my home and I'm creating one resource, let's say some person is there in US, some person is there in Singapore, some person is there in Australia, and they are creating the resource.
Okay.
And how and where and all these has to be organized, right? Because Microsoft is maintaining a data center in the 43 different regions. So they have to organize it. So that's the reason whenever we create a resource, it will ask in which region you want to create that resource. That way, they will know, okay, this server or this resource, whatever, whether it can be a web app or it can be a database, it can be a virtual machine, it can be a network, whatever it is, whatever the resource that we are creating in the cloud provider, that with the help of that region, they are organizing it. Okay. And whenever we create any resource, that has to be stored somewhere, right? So for that, we have to create a resource group in the cloud. Whatever you create, that has to be stored in the cloud. So if you want to store anything in the cloud, you have to create a resource group. This is the very first step that we are going to do. So that we will see in the coming practical sessions. So a region can have one or more data centers. Okay. So one region means it will have multiple data centers. So that way, your resource, whatever you are creating, that will be stored in that region, and that itself, Microsoft itself will organize in which data center that should go. We will see only the region option while creating the resource. We don't see the data center option. So that will automatically, Microsoft will take care. If you're talking about the Azure, if you're talking about the other cloud provider, the respective cloud provider will take care. So region is one option that we can see. And resource, right? So all these options will come when we are creating the resources in the cloud. So here we have regions, right? So Azure is generally 42 regions around the world with plans announced for 12 additional regions. So right as of now, there are 42, but I think this is the old slide. You can check this link. You can see how many regions are there. So this is about the Azure regions. So all the blue ones are the Azure regions across the globe. You can see each for each country, right? With these many regions that you can see. This one, just a minute. Okay, so just a minute. Let me see the slide. Okay. This is about that regions slide. Okay, so they are still increasing the regions across the world, around the world, to have more utilization of their data centers. Nothing but Azure. Microsoft is investing a lot in the cloud, and even AWS, Amazon is also investing a lot in the AWS. So they are both like always a tough fight between both the cloud providers. These are all the regions. So when you want to work with the cloud, first of all, you need to create an account, right? So that is called as Azure account. So any of the email works, like either it can be Gmail or a Hotmail, that will be sufficient. With that account, you can create a Azure account. So that is first step that you have to do whenever you are working with the cloud. And each account, after creating the account, we need to subscribe with the one of the subscription. Okay, there are different types of subscriptions, but we use pay as we go, pay as we use. So that subscription we need to subscribe, means we need to attach our Azure account with that subscription. Okay, and in one account we can have multiple subscriptions. In one account we have multiple Azure subscriptions. So which subscription you want, that is your choice. As a engineer, as a data engineer, or as a Azure developer, or as a Azure administrator, that is your choice which subscription you want to use while you are creating the resources, right? And as I mentioned, the very first step that we use is Azure Resource Group. Right? What is Azure Resource Group? So it is basically a container which hold all your resources. In a project, if you are using, as I mentioned, there are 200 services, you are using 10 services. So for all the 10 services, that has to be created in one place. So that is the resource group. Okay. So let's say if you have mistakenly created one resource in one resource group, let's say resource group 1, and if you want to move that resource, that service into other resource group, so that also you can do, right? That happens sometimes. And sometimes customer is there in Australia, and he, if he thinks that he wants to move from Australia to US, something different location, different region, whatever, so that time also we have to move all the resources to the different data centers, different region, right? How this Azure will help us in giving the better performance means, in the, if the customer is staying in India, so for that customer we have to choose the region which is near to the customer place. And if a customer is staying in US, so we have to choose the region which is near to the customer place. So that way it will give the better performance to the end users, whoever is using your application. Clear?
This resource can be edited, am I right?
Sorry.
Which we already created one resource. So I need to change, I need to edit that resource group. It can modify, am I right?
Mod
Services I'm talking about.
group is not the solution. Moving the resource group we are talking here. We can edit the resource group. We can edit it, right? But what we are talking here is the regions. As I shown you the different regions, right?
Okay, okay.
First slide. So this one. Let's say a customer is here in Japan, and if he wants to, for some reason he wants to move to some location, so he wants to close the business here and he wants to open a new company here and he wants to move over here, then what you have to do, you have to move your resource groups, all your resources which are created in this region, which is near to this region, you have to move the other resource group which is there in your this region, whatever the nearby location region is there, that region you have to move. Here we are talking about the movement. Editing, you're asking about the editing. Editing means if any changes are required inside this resource group, that you can edit and you can do, which is applicable only in this region.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So any questions still? Is it clear? So hierarchy you have to remember: Azure account, and then comes the Azure subscription, and then comes the resource group, and then comes the resources. Whatever the resource it can be. There can be a network or a database or a application or a Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Lake, Azure Synaptic Service, Azure SQL Data Warehouse. So all these are the resources only. So in a practical world, this is how we create our accounts and we maintain our hierarchy. Left hand side, you can see Azure account, development subscription, lab subscription, QA subscription, production subscription. As I mentioned, each account can have multiple subscriptions. So one subscription, I kept it as development. So if there are developers are there, I will give this subscription to them so that they will work on the resources, all the whatever they do, they will do this, and billing will come for this subscription, for this development subscription separately. And I will, let's say if there is any pharmaceutical company and if they want to do any kind of lab related thing in the cloud, so I can create one subscription and I will give the lab subscription and I will share these credentials to those people. So they will play around with this subscription only. So similarly, QA and production. So this and even services also with this subscription or any of the subscription, you can create any of the resources. There are no restrictions for that. Okay. And here, if you see, this is how it's clearly like in a company, we have different departments. So HR department, accounting department, marketing department. And if you want to have different subscriptions for each of the department, you can do that. Because this is not a on-prem. So why we are very much specific about the cost here is, if we create the resource and if you are not using it, automatically you have to pay for it. If you create it means Microsoft will keep on charging you for that particular service. So you have to be very careful what service we are creating, why we are creating, what is the utilization for that service. You need to keep all these things in your mind whenever you are creating, and which service you need to suggest to the customer. Let's say there is one Excel file and it has some 100 rows, 100 column. There are some 5 columns are there and there are 100 rows are there, and you want to move that data from the Excel file to your Azure SQL database. Then simple Azure Data Factory copy activity will help us. So if you know that, then just simply create the copy activity in the Azure Data Factory, then give the source and give the destination, and that will do your job, right? So this like this, you have to think what are all the resources that we are having and which service to pick and what is the cost that is involved, because every customer is, the very primary thing is they will look after the cost. We are, as a data engineers, we should always give the lesser cost solution to the customer, whatever is possible in that cloud provider. And there are different mechanisms for the deployment. So that is not part of this course, like DevOps, so Terraform and Ansible. So those parts will be there. So that is a different, when talk about the deployment, so that will come. But while creating, while migrations, while deployments, so while putting these types of hierarchy, so that all those things as a data engineer, you have to take care. You cannot suggest a customer which is costly. Right? So this is what we have seen. Azure region is name given by the Azure team based on the geographical location and the country. Azure region is an area which in the geography containing one or more data centers. So that we know. Location is exactly city name that represents that region. Region and location, both are different, right? And data center. So one region can have multiple data centers, and location means exactly city name, where exactly the data center is located. That is what the location is. So you need to know what are these terms. Then only you can able to give a perfect solution to the customer. So I have given some links over the here. You can see what are all the services or the regions that are available. So let's see about the services. So here one more thing I want to tell. There are 200 services, but all 200 services won't be available in all data centers, right? So these are all the services names. So they are categorized under integration. They have kept these many services. So these are the products. So virtual machine, storage accounts, all these are the services. So let's say virtual machine. Virtual machine service is available in which regions? That you can see here. In Canada, we have Canada Central, Canada East. In United States, we have these many regions. In all these regions, you can create a service called virtual machine. And not only that, for each of the service, there are the plans defined in that PLANS plans. So which plan you want to choose after creation, while creating of that service. So that also important, because let's say laptop is there. Laptop, we can have the basic configuration, we can have the high end, right? Similarly, when we are creating a service, we have to choose what is required for the customer. Let's say I don't want to use a laptop for any of the software or any of the work. Means my requirement is only basic laptop. So for that customer, you have to give only the basic in the plan. In the basic plan you have to choose. We have a lot of things like basic, standard, enterprise, right? Isolated. So all these plans, everything will be there. So those things you will come to know in the coming sessions. So I have chosen virtual machine. So we get all these types of regions where this is available and where this is not available. So some places there is no right mark, check mark. So let's say EAV4 series. So this virtual machine plan is not available in these two regions. Canada Central, Canada East, they are not available, but they are available in Central US, East US, like that. So this also you can check it out. So whenever you are proposing the solution to the customer, you need to look all these things, like what is whenever you are proposing any solution, you need to take care of all these things. So usually virtual machine means it's a basic one, so it will be available in majority of the places. So there are some services like AI, like artificial intelligence, or Cosmos DB. So that you can see, this is available in all the regions. So another option here is preview. Let's say Microsoft is working on any of the service and they have not released yet to the end users, to the data engineers or to the developers, as developers to use it. So those types of service will come under the category called in preview. Means that is not 100% completed. So they have developed it, they have just kept it in the preview. And once they will do all the type of work, testing, everything, then they will release into the market. So till that time, that will be in the preview only. So Microsoft will work, keep on working in all the different segments. Like some team will be working in the artificial intelligence related services. Some team will be learning, working on the machine learning services. Some team will be working on the data side of the Azure. So like that. So different teams will work on the different things, different areas. So for that, they will have this option called preview. Okay. So it is suggestible. You should not tell any customer which service is there in the preview. You should not inform, you should not give any suggestion or any recommendation for any of the customer if that service is in the preview, because that is not 100% released into the market. So whenever you are proposing a solution to the customer, do not consider the services which are in preview. So for that reason, I am telling here. Okay. So some symbol is there, feature availability. So this is in preview. Okay. H over to view expected time frame. So like that they have given. Available. Available means yes, you can go ahead and use it. No issues in that. Canada East, it is not there. Canada Central, it is there, and US Central, it is there. So like that, right? So if you have any customer, and that customer is there in Canada East, and if your requirement is about usage of Azure Machine Learning Service, then first you have to tell that in Canada East region, we don't have the Azure Machine Learning Service available. First, you need to tell that, because that is not your problem, that is not your limitation, that is Microsoft thing. They have to give update. So till now clear? Any questions? Okay. What is the difference between AWS and Azure? Okay, I will tell that. Guys, any questions you have?
Nothing, sir.
No questions? Okay, fine, good. So I think this is okay as an introduction. So tomorrow onwards we can go into in depth. 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday. So these are all the topics that we are going to cover. So we are going to cover the SQL database. So 1, 2 we are done, right? So 3 I will show you what is the Azure Data Warehouse solution. So it's basically like this. So we are here now, like Azure resources we are doing. So Azure resources, Azure resource group, and we need to know about Azure SQL database, Azure storage, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, Azure Synapse Analytics. So how the solution will look like in the at the end, right? So this is how it should be. It will be like this, right? Azure Data Factory will come here, Azure SQL and Azure Databricks and Azure Synapse, Azure Analysis, Azure Power BI. So this is how the complete solution for any of the data engineer.
Spark will also be included in this.
Yeah, Spark will come under here. So we will write the queries, right?
Okay.
Which is part of the data transformation, which comes under the Azure Databricks.
So this whole
Python,
figure
Spark,
where.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All this comes here. Data transformation, those comes under the data transformation.
Okay. So we are going to perform all these things, right?
Yes, we'll
While training.
all these things. We'll create samples of Azure Data Factory, and we'll do some examples in that Data Factory area, and we'll do Azure SQL. We create it, all the 3 different types. Managed instance, IAS model, pass model of SQL that we'll do here. And we create Azure Databricks service, and we use Azure Databricks. We use some sample scripts here, use SQL or a Scala.
Mhm.
So there I will show you what are the different types of programming language available, and I will choose one and I will explain you with that example. And here we have Azure Synapse Analytics, right?
Yeah.
And Azure Analysis Services. So what are the difference between the on-prem and the cloud, right? There is no option to create a cubes in the cloud version of Azure Analysis Services. You can't do it. We have to, if you want to create a cube using SSAS, SQL Server Analysis Services, then you need to go to the on-prem only. Till now, there is no facility to create a cube in the cloud.
Cloud, right?
Right? So that is one of the limitations. So we'll cover what are all the things. So this is the just the definition, right? So Cosmos DB we'll see, and Azure SQL database we'll see. So we have some assignments, we have some quiz, and we'll see about Azure Data Factory, Data Lake, and Azure Data Lake Storage, right? Azure Data Breaks, and we'll perform some data migration activities from the on-prem to the cloud, right? So this is one
Means
of the
real-time project experience, right?
yes, all whatever we do, we'll talk about the real time, right? Because
Yeah.
if you want theoretical, you can go ahead and learn from the Google. So that you can do. But what is the advantage of joining the training? So we'll talk about all the real time practical scenarios here, which
Okay.
you face in your real time world.
Yeah.
So I will tell you about all these things in this course, right? Analytics services, how to use, and data warehousing, and data factory, data lake. We cover all the things whatever is given in the course content, and we'll try to do more only. Okay, so still anyone has any questions? So you can ask now.
By the end of this course, we'll get prepared for certification, right?
Yeah, certification. See, the course content, what is there for the certification will be different, and these topics, whatever I am telling, that is different. So if you know this, so you can think this. These are the basics and up to mid level. But if you want to write any certification, it can be AZ 203 or 201, or
DP 100.
not AZ, DP, it is DP. So
Yeah.
whatever the certification courses that you write, for each certification course, it has its own syllabus.
Okay.
So questions will come only from that syllabus. So they will not touch the other areas. But in this course, we'll try to give you all the interview questions, which usually asks in your interviews. So how should answer like how to crack the interview. So up to that level, we can help you. See, these are the different types of questions that I captured, I gathered. So it will help you. So this type scenario based questions they will ask. So this is a question example, right? So they may ask you like this. So your questions can be like this. So up to that level, this is not a practical certification oriented course. If you want a certification oriented course, we have that course also.
Yeah.
And the suggestible way is you should know the basics first. If you are strong in fundamentals, then you can yourself upgrade yourself to the certification courses.
Okay. Okay. I mean, this one would be make more familiar about.
Yeah, what are the basics and what are the fundamentals up to mid level that you can learn, that you can do in this course.
Okay. Okay.
Get that much of knowledge
Yeah. Understood.
by having all these concepts, right? So whatever I'm showing on the screen, you can learn all these things, and you can completely you yourself do the practicals from without any help. That is what expected from this course.
Okay. Okay.
So try to create an Azure subscriptions. We'll create a Azure account tomorrow, and we'll go step by step, and we'll slowly go to the first. We'll deal with the different storages that are available in the cloud. Azure storages, we'll see. Azure SQL database, we'll see. Azure Data Factory, Data Lake, Azure Synapse Service. So all these things we will see, and we'll see what are the disadvantages or the limitations on using the on-prem, and what is there in the cloud.
Okay. Understood.
Still anyone has any questions? So I will put our training coordinator number. Please connect with her, and if you have right. Information you need. Okay, So what is the difference between the Azure and the AWS? So both are the cloud providers, right? As I mentioned, AWS came into the cloud in 2006. Later on, it was Azure, right? So they already occupied a lot of market in the cloud world, AWS. So more and same, the names of the services will be different, but the usage, what the service is doing, that is almost the same in any of the cloud, either it can be GCP or AWS or Azure. So it's purely a customer choice. Let's say if the customer is working on all the Java based applications, so they are having, let's say, 30 applications in Java or big data or Hadoop. So those types of customers, they will prefer the AWS.
AWS.
Yeah. If the Microsoft applications are there, like .NET or SharePoint or a BizTalk, so those people will preferably use the Azure. Why? Because they don't face any compatibility issues, because this is the cloud provider of Azure. Azure is the cloud provider of the Microsoft itself. So that way, so that is one reason to choose which provider. And I'm not saying that .NET applications cannot be hosted on AWS. We can do that. .NET applications can be hosted on AWS, and even Java applications can be hosted on the Azure. That is possible. But the compatibility issues, the preferable one, if you ask, then we will tell that for all the Microsoft technology stack, we have to use the Azure. And both are good. Always there is a tough competition between both the cloud providers, because both are big companies and they are investing a huge on the
Hello?
cloud platform.
What about the Hadoop ecosystem with Azure?
Yeah, we have HD Insight service, HD Insight service in the cloud, so which helps us to move all our data, which is in terabytes of data,
Migrate to
to data lake. So that data will come to the Azure data lake.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I don't have any knowledge on SQL. Just working as a Windows admin now.
Okay.
Oh, I think this is sufficient for stuff for me, or need to learn somewhere else for the SQL or something else.
Azure Data Engineer, there will be no coding or anything in that. Only thing is that you need to know how to write the scripts. It can be a USQL script or a SQL or a Scala, so those things. But that will come only if you are working with the Databricks. Okay. So it's a combination of multiple things. I cannot say only SQL developer or admin should come to data engineer. Anyone can come, provided you are from, if you are already aware of cloud terminologies and usage of cloud, those things you need to aware of. See,
Yeah.
networking, system admin, database admin, everybody can come to Azure Data Engineer, and this doesn't require any coding skills. Only thing is that you need to upgrade yourself how to use that USQL script or the Scala, or those things will be there.
Sir, I am new to this
that
cloud.
will be sufficient.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, somebody is asking question.
Sir, I am new to the software industry and all. Can I handle this one, sir?
Yes, you can handle this. You have to go through the cloud terminology, cloud computing, that first. Then
Okay.
you focus from the SQL. So your journey will start from the Azure SQL.
Azure SQL.
SQL Server on the on-prem.
I even don't know the basics because after my BTech and all, I have been preparing for civil services and all.
Okay.
So this is the first time I'm coming to the software industry.
Mm.
So tell me the process of how to handle this.
Yeah, we'll talk in detail after this meeting. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Call me. I will put my number here and call
Okay.
me.
Okay.
We conduct the career guidance programs also. Right?
Okay, sir.
My number. So
Okay, sir.
our company URL, you can check it out. First one talks about all the trainings, and second one is the parent site of our company, Visa Technology. So still anyone has any questions? If no, then we can wrap up the call, and please coordinate with Ramya. She is a training coordinator, and from tomorrow onwards, we can start the actual batch, Azure Data Engineer. Okay. So if you are looking for other certification oriented courses or any other technology courses, so please let us know. We have several batches and several trainers who are working with us. We work with the corporate, online, and the classroom trainings. Right?
Sure.
Fine then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Bye bye. Take care.